Welcome to the Citizens Defending Freedom podcast. In today's episode, we will cover how one of our executive directors received death threats. We will discuss Title IX and how we as Americans need to stop proposed policy changes, and how our partnership with Patriot Academy will benefit you. First, be sure to head to our website, citizensdefendingfreedom.com, and hit the subscribe button to make sure you don't miss out on any of our content. To kick things off, let's check out this video.
The parents are taking the wheel. I have an 8-year-old daughter who is absolutely dynamic, who can do anything. Athletically, intellectually, spiritually, and emotionally, she is a dynamo. And I don't want a man swimming against her in the pool. The fact is, I don't want her playing against boys in soccer. I don't even let my sons rough her up. Do you think I'm going to let your son rough her up? This is what we're talking about. Policy going back to the parents. Because if you think people who love America are willing to fight for it, you haven't met parents yet. Because I'm telling you, parents will go further down any street than anyone who loves their country alone.
That video is exactly why we are encouraging all Americans to flood the Federal Register by May 15th. Earlier this month, the Biden administration announced that it would expand the meaning of sex discrimination under Title IX to include gender identity and sexual orientation, forcing schools to allow students of the opposite biological sex to play on athletic teams consistent with their chosen gender identity. The Biden administration introduced its notice of proposed rulemaking on the Title IX change, opening comments to the public. Americans can now share their thoughts about the intended regulations by visiting the Federal Register. In response, we are launching a call to action asking Americans who believe that boys are boys and girls are girls to leave a comment in the Federal Register expressing that sentiment before the public comment period ends on May 15th. Up next, Citizens Defending Freedom's executive director in Nassau County, Florida, who has been smeared in the local press for opposing gay pride events hosted in spaces designated for children, has now received a death threat from a local citizen. Jack is with us today. What was your response to receiving this graphic death threat?
Well, it was shocking. I didn't expect it, so I went straight to the authorities and reported it and tried to see what they can do about it.
Did he say where this motive came from, and has he apologized?
Yes, he did say where the motive came from, and he was referencing what he was reading in the newspapers and in online media, which essentially created a very negative a negative insight on CDF and myself personally, with the names they were calling me was just terrible. So what happened was, I think he was reading this, and he said in his statement that he was drinking too much and he got angry, and he made this death threat, which was very seriously taken on my part. And then a few days later, after I contacted a mutual friend, he sent an apology as well, saying that he apologizes.
To our understanding, this gay pride event is ending in a park where children will be present.
Yes, and that's really the primary objective. We have a new children's park. We just put $500,000 worth of great playground equipment. It's very crowded. And what they're looking at doing is having this Pride Festival right there next to the children's park. And last year, it was promoted as a Pride Festival with a kids zone. And now that it's right in the center of our city's kid zone, it just seems very inappropriate to have it there.
Is there anything citizens can do to get engaged?
Absolutely. What we're asking people to do is contact our city commissioners, make sure that they share their opinions with them. They can write to the newspaper and balance out the horrible, violent messages that are propagated there. And we're also asking people to talk to their pastor. This is a matter of values. And we think that this is a discussion that should be in the pulpits as well. So we're also asking people to show up at the meetings, let people, that are in positions of authority know how you feel, so they know how they should be voting.
Great. Thank you, Jack, and keep us updated. On a much lighter note, we are excited to announce our partnership with Patriot Academy. With us today is the founder and president of Patriot Academy, Rick Green. Rick, can you tell us what this partnership between Citizens Defending Freedom and Patriot Academy includes?
Yeah, I mean, this is a chance, honestly, to equip and engage people on the local level with that I call it intellectual ammunition. So getting that education into our hearts and minds, really understanding the foundation. It doesn't do any good to be fighting for truth if we don't know truth. So we really do need to be diving back into what are the founding principles, the timeless principles of liberty that made America the greatest nation in history. And we as citizens have a duty to learn that. And so this partnership is going to allow for our CDF partners all across the country to be Constitution coaches and bring this material very easily. I mean, we make this so easy, all the technology. We put a ton of money into this system so that coaches can very easily, with a few clicks of a button, they get to schedule a class. They have it creates a URL. They send it out to all the folks they want to invite to the class. Those people can register right then, get access to the digital workbook. It's all automatic, so it makes it super easy for everybody. But most importantly, it creates an environment where they can bring people together and build community right there, and wherever they live, whatever their neighborhood is or whatever their city is, build that community of patriots that want to save liberty in America. And week after week, as people come to that class, they get fired up, they start looking for action steps, and then CDF is giving them those action steps to then go out into their community. So I'm excited about it. I think it's going to make a big difference.
What does it mean to be a Constitution coach?
Yeah, sometimes people hear that and say, if I'm a Constitution coach, I got to know everything about the Constitution. I got to have all the answers. Nope, exactly the opposite. You don't have to have any of the answers. Your job is really just to bring the people together, to get them on the field and then hit play. So if you can do the power play, turn on the power, hit play, get the people in the room, we'll do all the teaching, we'll bring the education. You'll have the experts like David Barton and Tim Barton and Kirk Cameron and Barry Loudermilk and all of that, and we'll bring it to life. I actually teach the Constitution in Independence Hall, so it's a great way to learn these things. So don't be intimidated by that title, coach. Just kind of put your whistle on, blow the whistle, get the people in the room, and then hit play, and then you learn with them. That's the cool part, is that you get to be basically the lead learner. You get to do the class with them, and then when the video's over, that's where the magic begins. That's when the conversation happens. That's when the iron sharpening iron. We sharpen each other's countenance together. That's when all of that happens in the room, whether it's a living room or church or library or wherever you're hosting the class. You bring them together, use the video to get them educated and fired up, then let that conversation flow. People will vent a little bit because they're going to be upset after they watch the video. They're going to go, wow, nobody ever told me that. I cannot believe that. They're going to be excited about what they learned, but then they're going to be looking for action steps, and that's where the coach can step in and say, you know what, there's a school board meeting we need to all be going to, or there's this happening that we need to all be a part of. So it's not difficult to do. Anybody can do it. And here's the cool part. We got classes going, like I said, living rooms, churches, no kidding, Harley-Davidson dealerships, bait and tackle shops. I mean, it's all over the place. Anybody can do this.
Rick, what's the importance behind educating American citizens on our history and founding documents from a biblical perspective?
I'm convinced that every problem we face right now in our nation, I mean, we know the culture's crumbling around us. All of that is happening as a result of the petri dish where bad government grows, and that petri dish is civic and biblical ignorance. If we don't know truth, we buy the lie. And we don't know the truth in America anymore. We didn't teach civics. We didn't teach biblical perspective. I mean, only 9% of even those who claim to be Christians are actually reading the Bible. And the Bible's got all the answers for us. I mean, it's got everything. The Founding Fathers of America knew that. They read through it every year. Even the ones that were not Christians did so. Benjamin Franklin even talked about the importance of people studying the Bible, following the Bible. So this is just really going back to the secret sauce, going back to the formula that produces a great society, that produces a place where you want to raise your kids and your grandkids. And so having a biblical citizenship course gives people an excuse to come together and at the same time learn, what does the Bible say about how to treat my neighbor, how to form my culture and my society, and then what does our Constitution say about it? How do I do this in a proper way? It is, I don't think this is hyperbole. This is the answer. This is what is absolutely necessary to rebuild the walls. If I could use a biblical example, you think about Josiah, the king back in the Old Testament, who when they took the scrolls out and started reading them to him, he went, wow, that's who we are. He rediscovered the history, rediscovered the truth, and then he implemented that truth. So we have to have the plumb line to measure everything else against. We have to have that truth, and that's what happens when people come together to learn how to be a biblical citizen.
Thank you, Rick. Patriot Academy provides classes such as Biblical Citizenship, Constitution Alive, Constitution Defense, American Campfire Revival, and access to educational videos. With this partnership, anyone can sign up to become a Citizens Defending Freedom Constitution coach. Before we go, we want to leave you with an inspirational verse from the Bible. Ephesians 6:11 says, "Put on the full armor of God so that you will be able to stand firm against the schemes of the devil." Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you join us for next week's episode. As you can see, Citizens Defending Freedom is doing important work. Help us today in our fight to protect children and push back against these radical ideologies. Please visit citizensdefendingfreedom.com, where you can learn more about our organization and generously contribute to our cause. Have a great day, and make sure to like us on social media and tell your friends about the great things we're doing. God bless.